also in this program. So let's move to the second part, to the second objective, that is well, it's a round table, and it's mainly dealing with the second objective that was to discuss or to speak just a bit, have a chat between us about the revamped or the new European research area and how it will impact in the program, and how this new European research area, with the part of mobility, employability of researchers and human resources management, will be, and how we can also improve our proposal, improve our organizations to implement the objectives of this European research area, but also to have better proposals in Marie that we align with the objectives. We have three finalists, we have three speakers, and the first one is Izaskun Lacunza from FETIP, and I think that you are going to, are you there? I hope so, Izaskun.
Here I am. Hi, Borja. Yes.
White now, it's okay?
Here I am.
Now, we're at the same building, but different rooms. So I think that you are going to share a presentation, and your first, your proposal is mainly focusing fostering, the title is fostering researchers' career through the ERAC working groups. And okay, so Chris has came here, so I think that I have a grown agenda, and it's not the first speaker. Izaskun, the first speaker is Michaela. Sorry for that. So
no problem, I can wait.
Okay, so then Michaela from the European Commission, I think that you are going to speak just a bit about ERA and the new objectives, well, the new developments. So Michaela, the floor is yours, and if you'd like to make your presentation, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I've structured my presentation today in two parts. The first one is a broad perspective on the new ERA communication, and the second part will be a zoom in on research careers, which obviously will be of very much interest to today's exchanges. Next slide, please. You all know by now that end of September, the Commissioner adopted a package of 3 communications on the European research area, on the European education area, and a digital action plan. This package of 3 communications complements already an existing new updated skills agenda, which was issued in mid-summer. From the Commissioner's side, it was a very strong message and signal to us that we should have an encompassing and holistic approach in terms of policy making, more specifically to bring together education, research, and innovation in a strategy, a European strategy towards knowledge. Getting back to the European research area, you all know that it was launched 20 years ago, at that time with the goal to reduce fragmentation of EU R&I system and to bring more coherence. The context that we are facing now requires, obviously, for an updated and retooled ERA to consider the challenges which are above or beyond the R&I domain. More specifically, we are now facing a pandemic, and Europe needs to recover and strengthen its resilience and also strengthen its preparation for crisis. Again, the new ERA needs to accelerate the green and digital transitions, and also contribute with stronger links to the industrial policy to support Europe's competitive edge and technological development. Next slide, please. The ERA, as we know, has been successful, and the new ERA will build on its success. We need to acknowledge that a lot of progress has been done in the last years in terms of removing the geographical barriers to researchers' mobility with the existing instruments such as the Charter and Code, Your Access, and the Human Resources Strategy, the so-called ERA Priority 3 policy measures. Research infrastructures investment needs to be mentioned also as a strong success, contributing to the implementation of ERA so far, as well as the Open Science Cloud, which is an important milestone. On the other hand, ERA has a lot to improve. We still haven't reached the 3% target in R&I investment. There are still divides in R&I performance across the EU. There is need for more ambitious policy reforms at national level, and also a need to improve knowledge valorization, translation of R&I results into economy. A lot of work ahead on gender equality, and as Bodo mentioned previously, to involve more citizens and society in designing and implementing policies and programs. Next slide, please. Next slide. A slide back, please. Yes, there are specific R&I aspects to these challenges, and in order to tackle all these needs, the EU has to be equipped with a strong and impactful R&I system with attractive careers for researchers, fluid circulation of talents within the EU, and attraction of talents to the EU. A well-connected innovation ecosystem at local, regional, national, and even European level. We need intense cooperation between academia and industry, and finally, we need technological development in order to support Europeans' competitive edge. The new European research area will be based on the principle of excellence. However, it will be complemented by inclusiveness and the ambition on which ERA has been built ever since, to acquire a playing level field in Europe. Next slide, please. This is quite a dense slide. And represents an overview of the new ERA. I won't be very detailed on it. However, I would like to give you, as I said, first a broad perspective of what the new ERA communication is and what the new ERA phase will be about before discussing research careers actions. The first objective is to prioritize investments. Of course, this objective is not new, and it comes with reaffirmation of the target of 3% in R&I investment. However, what will be new is in terms of methodology and instruments to trigger reforms. An example of a new instrument under the new ERA in support of this objective is the ERA Forum for Transition, which will be platform together member states and the Commission for discussions on ERA implementation and investment priorities and needs. The second objective is improving access to excellence. Again, this is not new. It is targeted towards the less R&I performing member states and will support the reforms of their system, including through a continuation of the widening measures and a better use of cohesion policies. The third objective, translating R&I results into economic value, comes up with a stronger link with industrial policy, as I have already mentioned. Besides the already recognized instruments such as the EIC, new tools and measures will be created to support these objectives in order to improve knowledge valorization and also to develop a framework of networking and cooperation between ecosystem actors based on common technical specifications and compliance criteria on work processes and outputs. This action will bear the name of ERA Hubs. The last objective, deepening the ERA, is of very much relevance to our discussion today. This is mainly about research careers policy, progress on open science, infrastructure, transformation modules of universities, careers of researchers, and gender will be also addressed as a cross-cutting topic together with the stakeholders' engagement and outreach to citizens and society. The horizontal bar in this slide comes up with a structured approach in terms of governance, ERA governance. You know that throughout the years, ERA has been built on an open collaboration model, rather on a best effort kind of approach. For the new phase of the ERA, we intend to continue working with the ERAC, with the European Research and Innovation Advisory Committee, while at the same time creating a new ERA Forum for Transition, already mentioned, related to prioritizing investments and reform as a forum for the Commission and Member States to discuss investment priorities and reforms as said. And in addition to that, the Commission has proposed, part of the new ERA communication, a pact for research and innovation as a set of principles and values in order to bundle all new ERA commitments. Next slide, please. We have now reached the second part of my presentation when we zoom in on the actions related to research careers. Under the new ERA communication, there is a dedicated action for the Commission in partnership with the Member States to develop an enhanced European framework for research careers by end of 2024. More specifically, to develop a European dimension of research careers based on a toolbox of measures meant to improve the attractiveness of the overall research profession and careers in Europe. The toolbox of measures will consist in three strands of, let's say, main sub-actions. The first one is the development of a competence framework based on skills taxonomies and competencies in order to reflect the multiple roles that researchers play in society and economy nowadays, and having recognized all of these skills and competencies in the European Skills and Occupations Classification, which you know with the acronym ESCO. Secondly, we would like to improve data intelligence on the labor market, research careers, mobility patterns, skills, and employment elements. As you may know, we currently have in place a study on mobility patterns called MORE, which will be broadened into an observatory on research careers as an instrument to feed in future policy-making processes in terms of careers. The third action, part of the enhanced framework for research careers, is to propose a more ambitious charter and code for researchers. You already know that the Charter and Code is based on a Commission recommendation made 15 years ago, and it certainly needs a review and a revamp to respond to researchers, employers, funders' needs. Your access will remain an accompanying measure to the new ERA. However, it will need to be expanded and broadened in order to provide a one-stop shop in terms of assisting both researchers and institutions. And regarding the assistance of researchers, it will go more into the direction of providing mobility support, but also career development support. Last but not least, part of the framework for research careers is ERA for You, which is a policy initiative, not a funding instrument. However, it will lead potentially to new funding initiatives. It has two objectives. The first one is to improve mobility between sectors and create awareness about existing mobility schemes. This could be fostered again through a new portal or through an addition of a section to the existing EURACSS website. And the second objective is to attract talents to widening countries. Next slide, please. And here I would just stay a little bit more. This is an overview of what the Commission proposes as main building blocks of the European framework for research careers. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list. We are now at the beginning of a process of consultation with experts and stakeholders on the new elements to have in view. On the left-hand side, you can see an important building block coupling research and employment policy. In the middle, there are a set of actions related to institutional and professional aspects. And on the right, a dedicated block on to R&I talents. Getting back to the left-hand side and the research and employment policy, there are several strands of actions. And here I'll quickly mention the recognition of the research profession in European national legislation. The issues tackled here will be in the direction of related to the definition of the research profession itself, as well as the recognition of skills for various research occupations. Links with the EURES and Europass will be explored here, leading to the update of the European skills and competencies classification. The second element on which I would like to focus here is linked to social policy, remuneration and pensions. The Commission is working together with the DG Employment on a proposal for remuneration with an equal pay for equal work approach. Third strand of action is related to the work we have with DG Home, more specifically in building a community of practice and knowledge exchanges on the transposition of the Students and Researchers Directive with a view to improve access and entry conditions to the labor market. In the middle of this slide, an important building block which shouldn't be considered as a separate block, but rather integrated into the overall framework, is about the update of the Charter and Code. The Council, through a task force at the level of 3 ERAC work-related groups, is currently working on the update of the Charter and Code through the lens of human resources and mobility, open science, and gender. I will not detail this part. Isa Skun is successfully leading this task, and she will present you the outcome of the exchanges so far. So the Commission will receive recommendations on the update of the Charter and Code end of this year. On the Commission side, we have just kicked off a study to tackle the Charter and Code, however, from a broader perspective of former ERA Priority 3 policy measures to complement the work of ERAC with more data and to collect insights from an extended pool of stakeholders and experts. Other issues to be tackled part of the framework of research careers refer to the reform of the research assessment system, the need to provide a systematic tenure track system and a clear career path for researchers. This is somehow in line to the question addressed before to Bodo on alternative metrics and to what extent publications and other, let's say, involvement of researchers and roles are considered for their recruitment, selection, and of course promotion process. The block of features on the right hand the block of features on the right hand side go in the direction of stimulating brain circulation, intersectoral mobility, and also attracting talents to widening countries. I've already mentioned previously new instruments, ERA4U, an intersectoral mobility scheme, a policy instrument which could lead to investment initiatives, the Observatory on Research Careers, years, collecting data intelligence on labor market dynamics and trends, and leading to a more focused and evidence-based policy-making process, and EUR-access as an accompanying measure in support of talent, with with a better, let's say, or empowered governance structure and framework cooperation in Europe, with strengthened institutional commitment and a revamped portfolio of services, portals, and tools. If we can go to the next slide, and I won't insist more on the next slides of my presentation, as we are already running out of time. Next steps on ERA communication. We are now at the phase after the adoption of Council conclusions in the Competitiveness Council. The Council conclusions are very much aligned to the new ERA communication actions. They endorse them, and on our side, together with the member states, stakeholders, and experts, it is to start rolling out the ERA agenda. In the next period, and certainly throughout next year, we'll engage in a process of consultation with experts and stakeholders to design the actions, as they all require a co-implementation and co-ownership kind of approach. Next slide, please. I will leave Izaskun to develop this part, because she's, as already mentioned, successfully leading this task force. However, what I would like to highlight here is that the upcoming trio presidency to the Council has chosen research careers as a priority of their agendas, and starting already this year, they will organize a consultation process in a workshop together with the Council and ERAC-related groups and the Commission on research, labor market, skills assessment, and monitoring. So we are in a policy-making process regarding future steps on implementation and testing and scale-up mechanisms. Next slide, please. Data gathering and analysis on our side will continue in parallel to the work of ERAC task force, as I have already mentioned, with a study on ERA priority 3 policy measures, both with taking stock approach of the level of intervention and identification of needs, but also looking to the future of what kind of recommendations we can come up with in order to improve the governance, the content, the process, and the EU national and institutional value of the existing instruments. We have the Charter and Code, the Human Resources Strategy, and your access. Next slide, please. A second study on our side will be launched next year, and it will be more in the direction of analyzing the knowledge ecosystem. It will prepare the ground of the pilot measures towards the implementation of the ERA communication, more specifically related to the European Framework for Research Careers, to the transformation modules of universities, and this should be done together with our colleagues in DG EAC, in synergy with the European education area, and also tackling actions related to strengthening innovation ecosystems for knowledge circulation and valorization. The elements which will be addressed in the study refer first to a macro understanding of knowledge ecosystems across Europe, and will go afterwards into a deeper analysis of how they are organized, how they can cooperate, and how the collaboration could be further boosted with links with the smart specialization strategies to create, for example, more impact in job creation, in skills development, and economic growth. The third dimension of the study will focus on the talent level of the ecosystem, addressing attractiveness of ecosystems for talents, mapping the needs and proposing concrete recommendations to alleviate precarious employment, to improve employability and permeability of talents across countries and regions. My last slide is about the implementation of ERA communications. I won't go into much detail about it. As already mentioned by Bodo, the program is still under development. However, what I would like to highlight here is that the ERA communication actions will be reflected at the program level as well. And the spirit of it will be from a continuation perspective. In terms of research careers and mobility, of course, new actions will be added, but they will be in the spirit of an evolution, not in the spirit of a revolution. This has been my presentation. I hope I haven't spoken so much, and I'm looking forward to your questions later on.
Okay, thank you very much, Michaela. It has been a really interesting presentation, and it's really interesting to see how it's evolving this European research area. It's better if we take all the questions that you would like to make. Please do it through the panel of questions and answers, and then we can have a sort of discussion among us. And we're going to change to the speaker, and we are going to change a bit again the order, and this case is not because of my fault, it's not a mistake from my side, it's because Mustafa should leave a bit early, so sorry Taskun. We are going to change again, and Mustafa will speak just a bit about the Marie Curie Alumni Association and how the services that you can provide to the participants. And again, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much also for sharing with us your license of Zoom that we are using now. So when you would like to start, please go ahead. I cannot hear you. I think that you're muted.
Mustafa, you're muted.
Yeah,
we cannot hear you.
Now,
okay.
Yeah, okay. Will someone of you share the presentation, or should I share it?
As you wish.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I can share it. So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really glad to represent Marie Curie Alumni Association here. So let me see. You can see my screen, right? Can you see my screen?
Don't worry. No, but I can share your presentation. Don't worry.
Okay. So you can see the presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, as I said, thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm really glad to represent Marie Curie Alumni Association here. My talk would be a bit more easier because of a nice presentation given by Bodo at the beginning, at the same time Michaela. So we are here to talk about the challenges and opportunities of the new European research area. If you look at the objective, there are 4 strategic objectives, and all these objectives will be realized via 14 action points. I'd like to specifically point out that 2 of the objectives and 2 of the specific actions points are directly related with the issues affecting research or researchers. So you could see in the screen that the objective talks about the free circulation of knowledge. We all know that right now currently in Europe, there are open science movement ongoing. At the same time, sustainable research career, how we can make the researcher career a bit more sustainable. To go into a bit more details, I took the freedom of taking these 2 sections from the communication of the European Commission to the European Parliament and other stakeholder, and make generated a word cloud. And if you see these 2 sections word cloud, you'd see that the researchers' issues are really prioritized. Now, if we go a bit more deeper into the discussion or into the challenges, you will see that there are specific points which are mentioned. For example, the imbalances between the number of PhD and the number of tenure track position, lack of career development training, charter and code. Michaela just talked about that it will be revamped because it was published almost 15 years ago. So it does not necessarily have all the components which are today in the European open science landscape. There are skills mismatch and then intersectoral mobility issues. Of course, open science, how the researcher career assessment will be performed in the open science landscape, what open science platform will be there, open cloud platform will be there. These are really important issues. We would talk about this during my presentation, and we would talk about how Marie Curie Alumni Association can support that. And first of all, we are an independent international nonprofit based in Belgium. And we have right now over 17,000 members from 143 countries. That means a majority of these members are actually current researchers spreading across different countries of the Europe. So they give a voice and they tell us what are the issues they are facing at this moment. So in a lot of cases, our work, the association works, is to understand what are these issues. In 2017, we made a major survey containing over 180 questionnaires, and we got a response over 5,000. Here we got when we asked them what are the challenges, what are the major challenges to progress in their research career, these are the major challenges they actually recommend or said. So if you see that the funding opportunities, career opportunities, mentoring, work-life balance, all these issues were actually in the part of the communication proposal from the Commission. So I'm glad to see that these issues are mentioned, and the Commission as well as the other stakeholder will be working on that. But when we talk about, for example, this is the reason why we are actually as an organization working towards providing different opportunities for our member, at the same time wider research community to develop their skills. So we understand that there are not enough academic career positions or academic positions all around the Europe. So researchers need to understand that, and they need to go to the alternative or other career paths. And this training needs to come should be given on the time when they are doing the research. So what NCAA does, we provide different types of training, be it in entrepreneurship, be it in dealing with the mental health issues, or even how to communicate science. And very recently, we just offering the LinkedIn Learning platform for our member. We will be opening a new subscription to all the MCA services, also to non-member at the end of the year, or basically this month, at the end of this month. So check our website for detailed information, because this will offer a detailed idea how a member or non-member can develop their career, what are the opportunities and issues like that. So our training not only focused on the career path, but also it focuses on the writing proposals or leadership skills, how a researcher could develop new leadership skills for their futures. At the same time, we talk about, which is also very related with the matching the skills, or in this case, I would like to share a very brief overview of the project we have done with the Belgian Flemish government, where we try to see what are the expectation gap between PhDs, postdocs, and the potential employer. So what we did here is kind of a personality survey. We send a specific questionnaire to the highly skilled researchers all around the world. There was more than 300 survey was filled up, and then a specific set of questions to the around 50 employer based in Flemish region. And we try to see in 4 domains, what are the gaps? Was there any skills gap? Was there any expectation gap? In both cases, we have seen, even for highly skilled researchers, there were some skills gap. So depending on this skill gap, we actually develop this training program, which are both online, on-site. But at the same time, we try to raise our voice in the issues which are touching researcher career. And one of them, which is also mentioned in the ERA, is open science. So when we talk about open science, we should talk about Plan S, and MCAA is from the beginning is a very vocal and supporter of Plan S, together with our partner Eurodoc and Young Academy of Europe and Global Young Academy. We are actually a part of the monitoring task force. At the same time, we talk and present how we can shape the future of open science, what are the necessary challenges. And I really welcome the idea of Open Research Europe at and European Open Science Cloud US in this regard. However, when we talk about the open science, we should understand one of the challenges coming to us is how we are going to assess researchers. I mean, when we talk about the researcher career assessment, what would be the evaluation metrics? Because right now, the evaluation metrics doesn't matter whether we like it or not, it's HETEX, yeah? Number of publications which are not necessarily open access. So how to change that, how this career assessment will be changed, at the same time, how it will be implemented, because it is, it's great, there would be guideline probably from different organizations, but what it matters, individual researchers, at the same time, individual professors, how they actually implement these assessment criteria in evaluating a researcher. So this should be also integrated in the funding system when we apply for funding. So what would be the criteria for the funding organization? So these are the challenges what we actually need to tackle in future. Other than that, we are active in different types of policy initiative, be it in dealing with the mental health of the researcher. Very recently, actually, like last week, we published our newsletter on the diversity, where you could see the researchers with disabilities, researchers at risk, how they are tackling their challenges and contributing in the research career. At the same time, academic harassment, academic bullying, which are integral part of academia for some time. I mean, we don't like it, and how to actually tackle these challenges. So we actually have some recommendation. Our members share some stories on that. And so these are the issues also needs to be tackled in the new European research area or career assessment system, because there should not be any place for harassment in academia. And at the same time, we are very vocal of the issues which touched not only the researchers, but everyone. Like MCAA is leaving one of the top social media platform due to its unethical data practices. And also the issues which, I mean, I'm very happy to say that today there is a new development in the budget issues. So MCAA, we were very vocal that we do need more budget for research and innovation. However, there is still one issue which is not yet solved, I would say, which is the impact of the COVID-19 to the MSCA researchers. But I mean, we are working together, and I hope that this will also be an issue which will be solved. Just to summarize a couple of points, or my short talk, that what we say is basically what we actually have a declaration on, that to provide more opportunities for the sustainable researcher career. What it means that there needs to have more concrete career development opportunities for the researchers, and it should not be a mere guideline from the commission or funding agency. This needs to be implemented, and this is true also for the evaluation metrics. I'm really glad to see the ERA document. It actually touched a lot of the issues which researchers were telling us over the 5 years. And this is a wonderful policy document. But what we researchers are at this moment looking forward to see a proper implementation of that policy recommendation. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for your time, and please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mustafa. Thank you very much for sharing with us this all the activities that you are doing, and that really linked not only with the program but also with these political priorities and the development on several political initiatives, such as well the European Research Area, but also open science and open access and some of these political issues. As Mustafa should leave, I don't know if you have any questions. Some of the people, I haven't seen any questions at the panel of question and answers. But if someone would like to probably get in touch with you, probably they can also write directly an email. So just to say thank you very much, because what we like also is to have the vision of the researchers. We have seen the vision from the Commission, and now with Mustafa, the vision from the researchers. So it's really nice to have these different visions from the stakeholders that are participating in this program and in this the whole European research area development for employability of researchers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now it's time of Izaskun finally. So sorry for being a bit late, but if you can explain just a bit what Michaela has already explained in her presentation. Well, we will finish this sort of presentations, and then we can have a short discussion, or if there are people with questions, we can ask to you. So, Izaskun, are you there now?
Yes. I hope you can hear me.
Clear.
Yes, we can hear you, and we can see your screen.
So thank you very much, and it is a pleasure to be here. I'm Izaskun Lacunza, and I work in the Spanish Foundation for Science and Technology, but today I'm here in my capacity of Spanish delegate in the Standing Working Group of Human Resources and Mobility from the European Research Area Committee. I am fully aware that for many of you, these all working groups and committees are not going to be super familiar, but hopefully throughout the presentation, I will be able to make it a bit more clear of why these committees and working groups have an importance in the researcher's career in the European Union. So.
Oh, yes. No,
yes.
Nothing. Yeah, full screen. Perfect.
Everything okay? Good.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to be talking today about is about the European Charter and Code for Researchers that was already mentioned by Michaela, and how through these ERA committee subgroups that I will explain, we are working in order to come up with a revamped Charter and Code that better meets with the new European Research Area priorities that have been very well highlighted by Michaela and Mustafa already. So first of all, the Charter and Code and what it means. The Charter and Code for Researchers was a Commission recommendation to member states issued in 2005. And basically what it does is to identify the rights and obligations of researchers and research institutions in Europe. So it's kind of an important milestone because in a way, it tries to set up with a minimum understanding among researchers and European institutions, which, as you know, there are thousands and very diverse, a common understanding on what it means to be a researcher in Europe and what the rights and obligations for European researchers are. This is particularly important for Marie Curie researchers because you know better than me that you are that mobility is part of what you of your work as Marie Curie researchers. A few years later, that the Commission issued these recommendations in the Charter and Code, they decided to issue an award as well, which is called the Human Resources Excellence in Research Award. And you will recognize the institutions in Europe actually having awarded with this logo, with this logo in the screen. So basically what this award is doing is to recognize those institutions in Europe having done a self-reflection about how their human resources policies actually align with the Charter and Code principles, and that have presented to the European Commission an action plan to improve these policies towards the Charter and Code in the coming years. So it is basically a recognition to a continuous improvement of human resources policies of European institutions. At the moment, it's over 500 institutions in Europe that have been awarded with this award. And I encourage you to take a look whether your host institutions do have this logo or not. Because by having this logo, they are making a statement that they care about improving their human resources policies in the 40 principles that we are going to very quickly look at the moment. So this is a charter that we have created in order to have a clear view of what these 40 principles apply for. And it goes from facilitating research freedom to the research community, to providing open, transparent, and merit-based recruitment policies for the recruitment of researchers, etc. I would say that all those principles are really important for you as researchers, but I have highlighted some that are particularly important, such as non-discrimination and gender equality, all the recruitment principles that are key to facilitate open, transparent, and merit-based recruitment policies in Europe, but also the need for the institution to provide with career advice to researchers, the importance of recognizing the profession of researcher throughout the European Union, etc. So this is the Charter and Code as it stands right now. However, as Michaela said, this Charter and Code is 15 years old, and it has proven to be extremely useful in order to align human resources policies throughout Europe. But it is also true that maybe it's time to go through the Charter and Code principles and identify certain principles that could be somehow revamped, renamed, or even to propose new principles to make sure that the Charter and Code is still a valid tool for all the new policies that are currently happening, all these packages of new policies that Michaela presented a while ago. So the idea is that open science and gender needs to be much better integrated in the Charter and Code, but also many other dimensions of the rights and obligations of researchers, such as diversity, as Mostafa was mentioning before. The teaching dimension of research is also something that needs to be better integrated, etc. Now, I was mentioning the European Research Area Advisory Committee group. Let me explain you a bit what this means and how these groups have organized somehow to work on the revision of the Charter and Code. So the European Research Area, as you know, is the policy that has guided the research and development policies in the European Union since 2000. And the governance of all this policy was done through the so-called European Research Area Committee, which main mission is to advise the Council, in particular through the Competitiveness Council, to advise the Council and the European Commission and the European Member States about the European Research Area priority areas. I need to remind you here that one of those priority areas, of course, is an open labor market for researchers in the European Union. The members of this committee are usually member states delegates and also the European Commission, and associated countries and non-European associated countries participate as observers. So this ERAC committee, which is a very high-level committee, has put in place different ERAC subgroups that respond to each of the priorities of the European Research Area. And the three of these subgroups, all of them being important, but in particular, three of these subgroups are crucial, I would say, for the European researchers' careers. The first one would be the Standing Working Group on Open Science and Innovation. The next one would be the Standing Working Group on Human Resources and Mobility, the one I belong to, and the Standing Working Group on Gender in Research and Innovation. So basically, these subgroups, what they do is to meet regularly in order to discuss about policies and activities that may have an impact in their own mandates, open science, human resources, etc. In late 2019, it was decided that these three subgroups would set up a so-called task force that we call Triangle Task Force because of these three dimensions being taken into consideration, that we would set up a working group in order, a task force, sorry, in order to review the Charter and Code at the light of the new European research area. And this is what we've been working for. We've been working throughout 2020 and probably in the first quarter of 2021. So this Triangle Task Force had, as I said, representatives from the three subgroups, and we have set up to ourselves two different goals. The first one is to come up with recommendations on training, incentives, and evaluation of researchers with an open science and gender perspective. This goal is chaired by Mark, which is the chair of the Standing Working Group on Open Science, and I'm not going to be talking about this particular goal today. And the second goal is to review and potentially update the Charter and Code at the light of the future of ERA developments. And this is the goal I am chairing, and I'm going to present you a bit what we've been doing in 2020. So basically, because of the reasons that I just shared with you, we decided that it was time to review the Charter and Code with a special emphasis on gender equality, open science and innovation, the teaching dimension of research, because of the importance of better linking the European research area with the European higher education area. Also the talent management and the research assessment, because of the increasing importance of career development and talent management and career diversification that is happening. Michaela explained very well the reasons for this. The principles of our work is going to be an evolution of the Charter and Code and not a revolution, because we are aware that there is already hundreds of institutions that have aligned their policies towards the Charter and Code. So it wouldn't be wise to dramatically change the Charter and Code. But we do want to revamp it so that, as we said, it covers better the new priorities. And another principle very important for us is to go for a reasonable number of principles. 40 is already quite a good number, and we didn't want to go for more than that. So we are at the moment working on this difficult exercise of proposing new ideas, but at the same time keeping the Charter to a reasonable number of principles. And another important question, I think that we need to consider is that we are making quite a theoretical exercise about the Charter and Code, and we are not thinking about the implementation. This means that the strategy and the logo is outside the scope of our work. Also, because as Michaela said, the European Commission is already conducting a much bigger study about the whole priority, the strategy, the Charter and Code, your access, and so on. And that decision will be, we understand, part of whatever the findings of the study bring to the light. So we are working on it. We have thrown already 3 different webinars with the delegates that are participating in the task force. We are enjoying the process because there are many. I mean, we realize that the Charter and Code is extremely useful yet, and we think that we are bringing very good ideas to the new Charter and Code. And what we expect is a more holistic Charter and Code that better represents the new ERA priorities. We will present the results to the ERA committee and also to the European Commission. And it is very important for everybody to understand that our work is not going to immediately replace the current Charter and Code. We are a task force of that is advising the European Research Area Committee, But of course, it will be the final decision of the evolution of the Charter and Code and all the related policies is going to rely on the European Commission. But we take it as a very important exercise, and we know that the European Commission is looking at our work with interest, let's say. Let me remind you that they participate in the task force and also in the subgroups. So basically, this is what we are doing, and as we said, we are confident that our work will have an impact in the European researchers' recognition of the profession, and also in a common understanding on what it means to be a European researchers. So basically, this is it, and I am more than happy to take any questions when ready. Thank you, Borja.
Thank you very much, Izaskun. And well, this is the last presentation of this roundtable that has not been so round. So because we're a bit behind of a schedule, but I don't know if someone has questions that could well take the floor and even put the video on and make the question. And if we don't have any questions in the panel, that I see that there are no questions. I have one small question to Mihaela. In fact, there are many different panels in the management of the evolution of ERA, and there is the transition forum, and also it's in line, or it's in the same part also. It's there is the ERAC groups, the committees. How this will work? How will be managed to have this transition forum with also in parallel running groups from the European Research ERA committees from the Council? I don't know if you can develop a bit more, or it's something that is still under development, or whatever. This is first, at least, doubt from our side to Mihaela or to whatever. I don't know if Izaskun or another person could also have an answer on that.
Thank you very much for the question. I tried somehow to explain in my presentation that the new ERA communication comes up with a policy framework. However, from policy to implementation, there are many steps. Yeah. And starting this month already, but with a very complex process for next year, we'll enroll in a consultation kind of exercise with experts and stakeholders in order to see how we can further go in the direction of a structured approach to the governance of ERA. There are three instruments mentioned in the new ERA communication in terms of how we can improve the governance, the implementation, and the monitoring of the progress of the future phase of new ERA. You very well mentioned that on one side we have ERAC, the European Research Area Committee, considering the insights so far, the process will continue. There is no issue to put a question mark to it, because it has proved very valuable throughout all these years. However, regarding the two new instruments, the ERA Forum for Transition and the Pact for Research and Innovation, there is a lot to explore. What has been mentioned in the new ERA communication is that the ERA Forum for Transition will be a platform for the Commission and the Member States to discuss investment needs, reform needs, and the Pact will come up with a set of values and principles for the R&I domain as a stronger commitment for the implementation of new ERA communication actions. I do not have a lot of details because, as I said, advancing them here would be preempting a full consultation process that will take place next year.
Borja, you're muted. We cannot hear you.
I have already seen. The system has already also advised me. Thank you very much, Mihaela. You're really right saying that. Well, this is the first part of political, and then the implementation we'll see in the future. And well, but it's a very good starting point for this political agreement. And we have one question from Santi Reyo. It's as the Charter and Code and even the human resources, well, the logo for human resources are based till now more on a self-reflection rather than actual actions or actions that could be verified. Is it a schedule a tightening of Horizon Europe Marie Curie evaluation of proposal and monitoring regarding this aspect, like training design or OTM recruitment? I think that what you're asking is about something auditable or something that you can, about the logo. I don't know if Izaskun knows more about this.
Yes, or I would like to intervene because it's about Horizon Europe, and I can make a point here because under Horizon 2020 there was Article 32 on recruitment and working conditions for researchers with the Charter and Code as a best effort obligation. Most probably the same article will be under Horizon Europe as well in the modern grant agreement. However, there isn't a clear direction regarding this approach because Horizon Europe is not there yet. But most probably it will go in the direction of a best effort obligation as well.
Yeah, it was also a question that I was thinking to ask to you or to Izaskun, because Izaskun in her presentation said that this is the stick, and we can consider a stick and the carrot that was to have a very good human resources policy implemented. But the question was about how this will be implemented in a model grant agreement, and as you have already said, it's probably they will be implemented in somehow in the same extent that is implemented now in Horizon 2020. So I think that are good news. These sticks are good news. Not always the sticks are good news. So I don't know if we have any more questions. We are a bit behind the schedule because, well, around 20 minutes, even more. I think that, Christina, I don't know, we have a coffee break that it's supposed that we are going to take the coffee from here or whatever.
Okay,
or back,
so I think we can close, if that's okay with you, this session. Thank you, Mihaela. Thank you, Izaskun. Mostafa, I also thank him for very clear presentations. Very interesting. I think I just now, I was thinking about, for instance, the MSCA Green Charter and how could that be somehow relating with the Charter and Code. So, there are things here to really think about and discuss further, but I think it's time now for us to move on to the next session. And what we will do, if this is okay with you, is we're not going to take a break of 15 minutes. And now I'm going to switch on to Spanish because this session is going to be done in Spanish. Así que a los que quedáis, los y las que quedáis, si os parece, muchas gracias Izaskun, thank you Mihaela, thank you Borja, os levantáis, os tomáis un cafecito o hacéis así los ejercicios que se suele hacer ahora de movimientos y en 5 minutos, son las 12:20, a las 12:25 nos volvemos a encontrar aquí. Que sepáis que Jesús tiene una sorpresa final para todos vosotros, así que conviene
sí,
que nos
es para que no se nos marchen todos, por favor.
Claro. Bueno, todavía quedan 267 que está muy bien. O sea...
Sí.
Bueno, os dejamos
en 5 minutos.
Tiempo para que os toméis un café en 5 minutos y estamos de vuelta. Gracias.